Alright, what I'm going to be talking to you about in this video is the meat slicer, an essential kitchen appliance. Alright, so the meat slicer is a very easily overlooked appliance. Most people don't even know about meat slicers, that they're an option, and the convenience of adding a meat slicer to your kitchen. So I'm going to tell you all about it. So what exactly is a meat slicer? Meat slicers are most commonly used commercially in delis or by professionals, but there's also meat slicers available for home use. And the two different kinds of meat slicers are the electric meat slicer, which is the most common, and the manual meat slicer. How meat slicers work. So an electric meat slicer is powered by an electric motor that spins a circular blade. The food of choice is put in what's called a carrier, and you will actually push this against the blade and make the slices. And a manual slicer is a circular blade as well, but it's spun by hand. Manual meat slicers are older. They're not as commonly used now, but some people still like them. They're less expensive and they're very convenient when you're wanting to slice vegetables. An example of a vegetable slicer would be a mandolin slicer. These can also be used to slice meat, but these are nice as well. You just slide whatever food you're hoping to slice over the blade yourself. These are really nice. But how would you or I use a meat slicer? Meat slicers have many uses. Some examples of that would be you're able to slice pretty much any kind of meat, from salami, roast, jerky, hams. You can slice chicken, turkey. You can slice these into lunch meat size. But besides meats, you're also able to slice vegetables and fruits, as well as breads and cheeses. Pretty much any food you want to put on there, you're good to slice. It's awesome because you're able to come up with a lot more creative, colorful snack and meal ideas. But the coolest use for this is party dishes. You can pretty much make anything more accessible, easier to eat, fun, creative. So there's a lot of different ways to use a meat slicer. Some important features to look for when you're hoping to purchase a meat slicer is the power of the motor. This is important because heftier jobs, bigger slices of meat, they're going to need a more powerful motor. Outside of that, it really doesn't matter. Most meat slicers can handle smaller jobs. The size of the blade is important for the same reason. The bigger the job, the bigger the blade. A built-in sharpener is really nice because when your blade begins to get dull, you're able to just hook that right on and get it sharpened, and that will also help to keep your slicer in good condition. The rigid back plate is important because that helps to keep the size of the slices all uniform. If it's more flimsy, it tends to have them be different sizes. The continuous running motor is really important because typically, if you don't have a continuous running motor, you can really only slice for about 10 minutes before you have to let it rest for about an hour. So it's nice to have it continuous. And non-slip feet are nice so your slicer isn't sliding around during the job. How to know if your meat slicer is right for you? Two major concerns are difficulty of cleaning or the lack of power. But really what it just depends on is the kind of meat you are wanting to slice. The bigger pieces of meat are going to need a bigger motor, a bigger blade. Otherwise, you're good with probably a cheaper, less elaborate meat slicer. Also, it's always wise to make note of user reviews before purchasing. Those will help you to determine which meat slicer is going to please you. So, good luck finding your meat slicer.